Wilson Morales, blackfilmandtv.com. Robert, obviously last year we got to see you do a lot of things. So my question is, for this upcoming season, will you be more or less zany as Klaus?
Not in no way intending to disappoint, but I'd almost say, I was going to say less zany. Starting off, certainly less zany, but then again, it's pretty zany having a cult and then trying to leg it, escape from said cult. I don't know. I don't know. There's some very very distinct, potent flavors of zany in the second series, especially with this hunk of junk over here. Especially when we get about mid-season, things get very 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 zany indeed as the kind
Justin,
of relate the powers and stuff develop.
yeah, Justin, obviously, throughout season one, where you came in and out, but towards the end, we got to see you display how powerful you can be. Will we see more of that this year now that you are a season regular?
Absolutely. I think uh, there's something that happens with Klaus's powers. We saw a bit of the growth of Klaus's powers in season one, which is why Ben was able to sort of be visible and corporeal at the end of that season. But we see another evolution and progression of Klaus's power in season two, which causes an even greater shift in their dynamics, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot more crazy, and I think Ben finally gets a bit of independence and agency this season, which is really exciting.
Robert, why do you think there's such a special bond between these two characters that Ben can't have with the rest of the siblings?
Well, I suppose because they can't see or hear him, and Klaus prefers it that way. I think he likes having dominion over their dynamic. Having being in the driver's seat, and it's that imbalance that gets kind of messed with in the second series. He starts to kind of lose power over Ben. But why does he not have it with the other siblings? For the simple fact that he's dead as a doornail, sir. He's dead as a doornail.
And Ben, obviously, with the series shifting towards the '60s, and he's the one of you can answer it. How much of the '60s do you remember as you're playing these characters set around the JFK assassination?
Well, obviously, both of us were not alive during the '60s, but we know about it from our history books and our history lessons. But it was a lot of fun. I mean, to walk onto set where the buildings they transform basically an entire street in Hamilton, Ontario, to look like the '60s. So
Yeah, Ottawa Street. I remember.
yeah,
Or
yeah.
is it Ottawa or Oshawa? One of them streets.
Yeah. So to walk onto that street and sort of look around and see these '60s type shops was really amazing, and all of our hundreds of extras wearing '60s clothing, and Robbie got to drive a bunch of '60s cars, although they're not the easiest to drive. I'm sure Robbie can tell you.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun to play in that world.
Yeah.
you know, when you get the word that there's a season two guaranteed, which is job security, do you take the role, I wouldn't say less seriously, more seriously, because now you're coming back and obviously there's a fan base now that knows these characters, whether they've watched it on TV or they've known it from the comic books. How much more stock do you put into knowing more about your characters? So when fans come up to you, they're expecting you to know a lot more.
I mean, people can expect what they want, but I don't, I wouldn't really be too bothered on that front. But my homework I set myself was to try to kind of trying to cultivate Klaus in a sort of a way where it gave him a like if everybody's been listening, hanging on your every word for the past 3 years, and
Mhm.
and getting everything you wish, fulfilling every wish, and getting you a snack, just basically you have a tailor made life. you know, what would that do to you? You know, so I kind of went about trying to cultivate Klaus in that way, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, guys, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Obviously, July 31st can't get here any fast enough. We'll talk down the road. Have a good one.
Nice one, Wilson. Cheers, man. All the
Cheers.
best.
Thank you, Wilson.